Alright, this is my project. I started by picking my plate, and then I added lens distortion. Well, I removed the lens distortion, but I prepared the lens distortion node and then copied it back to the plate. Denoise, reformat to HD, wrote into EXR format, and then I started my comp. I have made some key lights, and this keying portion is made to remove the green screen. So it's just a simple keying setup, and I have marked out the markers so that I can remove them. And then I have also these, which remove the green tint that ends up on this portion of the comp, or of the slate. And then I light my set. So I wanted the background to be an early morning or maybe sunset mountain view. And so I made light that glows all around my set. And this didn't have to be perfect. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it's very blurred out, so it's okay. And I just have a normal match move tracker. But there's a lot of manual rotoing going on too. I then copy 2 points and pre-mult to get rid of the background entirely. I add an edge blur to make the edges not as harsh. And then I add my snow and mist for the background. Nothing on the plate yet. And then I have my set extensions for the background. I have my mountains and I have my sky. Also a pretty simple setup. Just rotoing portion to make some light. As you can see, there's no light, and then I added some. My set is entirely still in the background because it looked odd when the mountains moved when they were so far away. And then I have my set extension for the front and my steam from the chimney. So I have just some simple cards with the camera 3D tracker, just like this. Super simple. I used an image from Google and I just erased a portion of it, added a green screen to it in Photoshop, and then I just denoised, keylit, graded, transformed, blurred out a bit, and added it to my scene. And then we have my main ground, which is where I have all my snow and key elements that are moving. So we have the snow, it just goes straight down. And then we have the smoke or the mist. And then we have just larger snow particles flowing towards the camera. Or I guess away from the camera. Depends how you see it. With the converting from move to EXR, I also reformatted them to fit, and I retimed it because I needed it in reverse, because my camera was moving in, not out. And I also sped it up to match the camera, but I also have the other ones on trackers. And then I have my 2D, just normal, completely visually still objects. I have my trees, and I have my little character. This is also another camera setup, tracker setup, and I have my character to a project 3D node so that the resolution doesn't change and gets stretched out when it zooms in, which was a big problem for me. Because my camera is slowly moving in, when you have a 2D image that starts one size and you zoom in, of course the image gets crusty and low res. So I needed it to stay the same. And then I have my trees, very simple trees. Just remove the alpha. They're so blurry I didn't need to do as much. They were never gonna be crisp. And then the last thing I added was some sunlight and lens glare, because I thought this sun looked a little bit too pathetic for my light setup. So I added one sunlight and then even whole another sunlight. And I had to roto these parts to make sure the sunlight wasn't cutting straight through the wood. And I really wanted a glare, because when I take pictures and footage similar to these, I always get a really prominent glare. So it was very important to me that there was like a glare or flare, I guess, to my footage. And then I just added back the grain. And that's my comp. I also have this switch node, but that's for the breakdown. I am overall very happy with the result. And it went pretty much as planned. Maybe I wanted the mountains to move slightly, but when I looked at it, it just looked odd and unrealistic. I also would have wanted to roto these parts a bit more cleanly, but I couldn't get it more perfect. I couldn't get it to look better. The hardest part was probably knowing where to put things. I didn't know where to put the lighting, if I should put it before everything or if I should put it just before the background. So I made sure to check with references and check with the other projects, comparing how I did it before. Another thing I found difficult was the green screen is pretty clean without doing anything more. It's remarkably clean, and I was trying to get more keying nodes, like adding more of them, but when I did, it just didn't look as crisp and nice as when I only did one. So I'm not sure if I was supposed to do like 3 of them like in the other project, but it just didn't look as nice, so I went with just one. That's mostly what I had issues with, and the resolution of the character. The rest of the stuff went pretty smooth sailing, I would say. Thank you for listening.